A lifetime of wanting, a decade of searching, a year of planning, preparation, and travel has brought a guy here to Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, where I have finally purchased my personal bucket list holy grail car. After this, there is no other for me personally. And of course, it doesn't run. And of course, I bought it sight unseen. In fact, it's been sitting in this garage right there for 30 years. Hasn't moved, hasn't been touched. So I'm gonna do the right thing and try to get this thing fired up, back on the street, and attempt to drive it over the border and 1,000 miles back home to southern Tennessee. So let's get this garage open and take a look at our new 1971 Tomaso Pantera. There she is. So a real quick backstory here. Somewhere you're thinking, well, why a Pantera, Derek? That seems odd. And it kind of is, really. You know, I've always been asked, what's your bucket list car? What's your favorite car? And I usually defaulted to an American muscle car. And I do love those. I mean, and I'm fortunate enough to have built them or bought them over the years. Chevelle, first gen Camaro, Grand National, and my dad's 56 Buick. Those are kind of the big ones for me. But this has always been, and I call it the Holy Grail because it always seemed unobtainable. And before the derogatory comments start about, you sold out, and you've changed, and must be nice, and dad's money, and all of that stuff. Listen, this didn't just fall into my lap. This has been a goal, and it's a dream that I've chased, and I made it happen. I sold my orange ramp truck, my black ramp truck, my Harley Davidson Ultra Guide, the one we spray painted. The Mercury's gone. The Chrysler Imperial, the 80s Cadillac, the 67 Mustang, the 75 Mustang, a whole trailer full of tools, 95% of my inventory on the shelves, and the list goes on and on. And everything I just mentioned, I worked my tail off for. So, hope we're on the same page. Another one of the reasons I never really mentioned this car is it's Italian. Although it's Ford powered, that's kind of a turnoff for some, and I get that. And they didn't make a lot of them. In fact, only 1,007 were ever imported to Northern America, which of course drove the price sky high, until I found this one, which is a non-running Pantera and the world's cheapest Pantera that isn't a rolling shell and a VIN tag. So it just took some time, but here we are. So here's the plan. I don't really have one. Well, originally, I was going to work on the car in here, but it's a little tight, and the nice woman that lives here is actually taking care of her mother. And they're in and out through here with a wheelchair, and there's nurses that are in and out, and I don't want to be in the way or a burden. So Angela is going to actually help me move some of the stuff. We're going to try to push this car out front if we can. And then I've got my friends who are about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. Rich and Aaron from DeBoss Garage. I reached out to them and said, hey, do you want to go have lunch and also haul a car? And also, can I borrow some space on your floor? And they said yes, yes, and yes, which is amazing. So they are on the way with the trailer. We're going to try to get this thing pushed outside and load that thing up and haul it over there, try to get this thing fired up. So let's start moving some stuff and see if we can get a closer look at this Pantera. Okay, sheet coming off. Or car cover, I guess. Oh, it's stuck over here. The mirrors look a little sad. Yeah, might need some tape. There we go. Well, fellers and fellettes, trying not to shake here, but I'm shaking like a leaf. Let's walk around this thing, check it out, see what we got going on. We'll have to probably get it outside before we can get anything really opened up. But it's in pretty good shape. I mean, this isn't a restored one or all original, which is another reason we were able to afford this unit here, but it's been sitting right here for 30 years. Hasn't moved. So the paint's got a bunch of this flaking or chipping, bubbling, which we're eventually going to repaint this. It's just interesting to see. And it's starting to do it here as well. But it's got this neat pinstriping. See that? Right above the bumper head on the headlight cover on both sides. And then I also noticed it right away around here, around there, the mirror, which this one's a little sad. Up here. So I'm sure there's going to be more in the back. This is a rear engine car. I just absolutely love the rear profile of these vehicles. They look so aggressive and mean. But they're Ford powered. This is going to have a 351 Cleveland back there. And a manual transmission right there. We got some initials here. MLR. Not sure what that means. We got some wider wheels in the back. What are these things? We got the good riches. Well, what's the size? I don't know. 265 50/15s. I like that. And then we got some smaller ones up front. These are 225 dry rot 15s. Looks like. Chin spoiler is still spoilering. Surprisingly, those are usually the first thing to get ripped off. Glass looks pretty good. Nothing wrong there. I don't know about the side doors or anything like that. It's been caged. Chrome cage. Fire extinguisher. Already got the pine tree. Royal pine, of course. Of course. Let's crack this thing open. Take a look here. All right, crack this thing open. Yeah. Boop. Oh, it had a real crack sound to it. There we go. Very distinct smell. It's like a plastic trash bag full of wet life vests with just a hint of magazine. It's pretty good. Oh, aviators without the ear sticks. Oh, these might be clip-ons. Oh, yeah. Boy. So, it shows 14,657 miles. And in discussion here, we believe that to be accurate. The feller that owned this rarely drove it. And when he did, it was onesies, twosies, here and there. And mostly just sat. And then, of course, it sat for 30 years. So, that's very low miles. And I'm hoping that that's going to make everything in this car work properly, because you can't find parts. Literally. I need to choose my words carefully. I don't want to say smuggled. I naively brought brake calipers in my backpack with me. They were not too happy about it. There were discussions there, coming in. But I got them with me. That's the only parts you can get for this car. You cannot get rotors and bearings and things and doodads and whatnots and levers and buttons and more. You just can't. Thankfully, the Ford engine, we could just say it's a 70 Mustang and it's your typical 351 C4V. But everything else, we are on our own. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, like the hydraulic clutch system and the hydraulic brake system. Anyway, I'll get you guys in here. I love how simple these are, almost kind of archaic, but they also have that like pinnacle of Italian design. You are just time warped back to 1970 when you sit in this thing, which I don't think I'm gonna fit. Perfect. So interior wise, very simple. There's not a lot to it. This is not factory, of course, that's been added. But here's the speedometer, odometer. 14,657. You've got a tack over there. And we've got ampereses, fuel, water, oil. Look at the radio. They're like, how do we fit this in here? Well, if we just throw it sideways and jam it in, maybe that'll work. There's our 5-speed. Looks like the seat had plastic on it. Look at that. Right next to the mouse droppings. But the seats, that's low miles. No question about it. Armrests are fine. The rubber is missing off the brake pedal. Might be in here somewhere actually. We'll dig around for that a little bit. But that's really it. That's all there is to the car. That's very Ferrari-esque, isn't it, with the gates, slots in there. She was smoked in. Love it. Let's see. What is this? Some sort of instructions. Yeah, we've got... Look at that. Pantera GT5. That was a snooted up version. A little more aggressive rack and pinion braking. More freer exhaust. Had the black vents. These got really good looking in the 80s with the body kit and stuff like that. But I like 71 because it's the first year. Absolutely first year. He had this little air pump in his car. Guy's got her snagged onto the front. And then that runs up to my rental back here into the lighter thing. So let's see if we can, well, that's just a light. How do you go? Bar. PSI? Yes, I need PSI. Oh. There we go. You don't set it, you just turn it on. See if that'll take wind. Well, it looks like it is. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to the rear physically and be able to get the air pump there because we're out of cord. But we might be able to roll it on 3 tires that are aired up somewhat. That's kind of the goal. And get this thing outside for the first time in decades. This one's got that honk and split, but I don't see any leaves blowing or anything yet, so I'm hoping it'll take some wind. Well, we tried to air up the tires, not working. Tried to push it, not working. I believe the calipers may be seized. We rooted around a little, found a little tow hook thing and some nylon rope. I'm gonna back the Doge Billy Goat to whatever flavor pickup that is around, hook the rope on it, try to pull it out of the garage here so we can get all the stuff back. And this will probably snap. Then I'll go get another strap, a real one, which I should have done in the first place, and try it again. Okay, here we go. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm a nylon rope tying champion, 2006 and 7, consecutively. No. Look, it's okay, it's fine. I don't know, I doubled her through there, so hopefully it doesn't just get cut off immediately. The slack will ride. That is gonna make a knot we'll never be able to get off. And that one should probably destroy the chin spoiler on the car. So all in all, this is gonna go pretty good, I think. Let's see what happens. Nice and easy. Slower but faster but slower. Oh, it's moving. Oh, that's good news. Maybe the calipers ain't seized. Okay, buddy, let her rip. Okay. Very nervous. Very nervous. Okay. Oh, it's outside. It looks so much better out here. That's good. It's supposed to be karate or something. Yes, it's outside. Now we can really look at the thing. Woo! We got to get back here. Oh, can barely see the engine. Perfect. Gonna be really easy to work on. No, it's not. That's fine. So here's where that car sat all these years. Look at the tire tread stuck in the carpet. But check this out. We thought it was 30 years. 1991. 33 years. Look at the rear of this car. Goodness gracious. Such an awesome design. It is a very unique color. It's got a lot of pearl in it. I don't know if you guys can see that. Heavy pearl. I'm not quite sure what's going on with these mirrors. Goodness. Closer look at the body here on the driver's side. 1, 2, 12, 14, 28, 36, 49, 97, 314 door dings. And I knew of this. We talked about this rust. Not only the world's cheapest, but probably the only rusty Pantera on the planet. Got a weird ripple right here going down the side. Some damage there. Deck lid's got that same paint chipping. And then I just noticed the fenders caved in. Right there. Big old watermelon dent. Right here. But it's alright. It's alright. Got to start trying to find some tires up here. Wasn't going to try to ship any. The shipping up here is just crazy. Got to get this plate off for her. She wants to hang on to that, and then we'll get this open, take a look at the engine, which is actually here. Yeah, literally. In fact, you could see the front of the motor right there. Get you guys a quick peek back here, and then we got to get packed up and get this moved to get to work. This is not going to be easy, and there is plenty to do. So I'm not sure where this goes. Some arbitrary location, I guess. Maybe right here. Oh, wow. How do you do anything? Great. Swell. Super. So tucked way up in here. Look at this trunk space. Tucked way up in here. There's a 351. We got music pipes on this thing. Aluminum intake. A big old Holly. Looks like the wires and the lightning rotor and cap and all that was probably just replaced right before it was parked up, you know. Oh boy, this is gonna be something. Hopefully it turns free. You know, you try to ask these questions, but how do you have them check that? So I don't know. The engine could be froze up, quite honestly, and then we'll be dashed. We're trying to get back. Here's the fuel tank, tucked in over here, right behind the driver's back is where you want that, see? This whole thing is an insert and should hopefully come out. Yeah, see? That'll help us a little bit getting at this thing. 345 horsepower, give or take. I believe in 72 they were 11-to-1 compression, dual point ignition, even bigger Holly, right from the get-go. These things absolutely flew back in the day. Very fast cars. Hey, help's arrived. We've got a trailer and a big truck. That's a Caterpillar powered F-350. Cranker. There you go. He knows what he's doing. Hey, look who it is. It's Rich from DeBoss Garage. Well, today it's DeBoss Towing and Recovery. So the ad said first kilometers free, right?
First kilometers free, but you're like 200 kilometers from where you gotta be, buddy. So.
Ooh. Okay, well, big thanks to him for helping me out. I couldn't do this without him. So he's got a winch on board, and we're gonna drag it with the flats so it doesn't roll into the trailer and come out the front end. And he's gonna let me wrench at his place, which is gonna be a whole lot of fun. If you're not familiar with what these guys do, they build custom cars and trucks and do a lot of diesel stuff like this Caterpillar powered pickup over here, the F3 Kitty, and they also do heavy equipment stuff. So he's going to have plenty of space and tools and whatnot for us to hopefully get this done. It's going to be a lot of fun and a good time. Rolls pretty good. Ouch. Go this way there.
That way, and straighten out, and we should be good.
There she goes. All right, we're all loaded up. Now we got a couple-hour road trip back to DeBoss Garage, his shop, and we'll get to work on this thing straight away. Well, we are headed to a town called Hamilton, I believe, and dropping this rental off. Rich is also going to let me borrow a vehicle, which is incredibly nice of him and fantastic because I can save a tremendous amount of money right there. So we're going to drop this off, and then I'm going to transfer my luggage and the tools and stuff I picked up today over to his rig and ride back with him to his place this evening. And just sitting here thinking, driving, trying not to be all sappy or whatever, but I just want to thank you guys. I do realize wholeheartedly that none of this, no matter what vehicle, happens without you guys, and it's because of you guys that it does. So thank you so much for watching and being subscribed and liking the videos and commenting, and couldn't do it without you, and I know that, and I appreciate you, and I hope you like this car, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it, and looking forward to having it out to events so you guys can see it and sit in it and everything like that. If you've got some ideas for it, some cruises or gatherings or specific shows, let me know. We can see if we can make that happen. We've got another, I think, 2 hours or so before we get back to his place, and looking forward to just peeling the onion back a little bit tonight. It's going to be late when we get there, but kind of see what we got going on and what we're up against here. The biggest thing is if I can get that engine to turn over. I'm just dreadfully scared it's going to be locked up, but we'll see. I've had some that have been stored in garages that do fine. I've had some that have been stored in garages on concrete that were locked up tighter than county jail. So we'll just have to keep, all of our fingers crossed that it's not. Updates on my travels here in the land of Canada. I'm learning things are measured in sled docks and maple syrup jars. Things of that nature. I appreciate it. No, but honestly, a lot of nice people up here. I've been here many, many, many times, mostly as a child or young man. But I got to go to a couple places I've never been to, like Princess Otto. Not bad, not bad. It's kind of like Hobo Freight. Dare I say better than Hobo Freight. Because they also have like a Fleet and Farm section and a couple other sections that Hobo Freight doesn't have. I always assumed Princess Otto copied Harbor Freight and opened up all their stores. But in fact, it's the other way around. Princess Otto was founded in 1933, and Harbor Freight was founded in 1977 by Eric Schmidt and his father, just north of Hollywood, which makes sense for their longboat operation. Got to have the goods coming in on the harbor, since Harbor Freight. Another store I've enjoyed so far is Canadian Tire. Don't let it fool you, it's more than tires. You can get bed sheets, a canoe, a cake mixer, a unicycle, and a toolkit all in the same aisle at decent prices. I did enjoy Canadian Tire. Founded in 1922, they now have more than 33,000 employees, and they make $18 billion annually. That's nuts. The one I want to try that I haven't yet is, of course, Tim Hortons. Speaking of which, Tim Horton perished in a Pantera, a single-car accident in 1974. A mix of very excessive speed, drugs, and alcohol. He lost control of his Pantera, rolled it, flipped it, wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and was ejected, unfortunately. But they are now one of the largest retail stores in Canada. I think they have like 5,000 stores or something like that. You're gonna have to go check it out. Is that a D10 dozer? It is. Wow, he's really up there. Anyway, it feels weird driving a reliable vehicle. I'm not really quite sure what to do with my hands. Is this normal? Is what I'm thinking, but it can't be. But maybe it is. Anywho's, we're on our way. I gotta get something to eat here pretty soon. Try some Canadian fares that wet the back neck and whatnot. I'm sure it's like goose and maple loggins and turkey leg extreme XL dark lager or whatever. We'll figure it out though. You know what I mean? Okay. Truck dropped off. I'm trying to learn this conversion stuff. Some things feel like they're really cheap, and others $552.47 Canadian dollars. Canadian seems excessive. Really excessive. $90 fuel service charge. 17% tax. I guess we're doing fast food all week. All right, let's get everything unloaded into the other truck and get back to the shop. Well, we have successfully landed at Boss Garage. We just rolled it off the truck trailer here, and this is gonna be home for a guy for the next few days while we try to get this thing running and attempt to drive it across the border 1,000 miles back home, making some cool stops along the way, hopefully, but we've got a tremendous amount of work to do. Once again, big thank you to Rich for coming to get a guy and let me use the space here. The plan is I don't have one. We're gonna do the huge. We gotta see if this engine rotates, start there, but we have two big looming concerns here with this particular vehicle, and a lot of it comes down to parts or the lack thereof. Extremely difficult to get. I have spent months, endless days and hours researching, calling, mailing, pagering, faxing to try to get parts for this thing. I did track down some calipers. That's pretty much it. It has a hydraulic clutch system, big concern for me. The brake system is very wonky in this. We know it doesn't have any now, big concern for me. The 351 Cleveland, if it's not stuck, it's probably gonna run. How good? I don't know. I have no idea. So I think that's where we really need to start here, is see if this engine even spins or rotates. And if we can get this thing fired up or making noise or doing anything, then we can start worrying about everything else in the car. So working on this is gonna be pretty difficult. I can't lay in this trunk physically. It's gonna be torture on my back. I'm gonna see if we can maybe take this hatch off. If not, at least get this shell out of here, make some more room. We've got to drain the fuel tank. We're gonna have to dig into the ignition, make sure we get sparkles. We'll probably pull the sparkulators out, juice this thing down. Doubtful we're gonna be able to spin it by hand, so we're probably just gonna have to jam a battery on this thing. I hate to do that, but we'll see what happens. Let's start digging. We'll make it up as we go, see what happens. I got a little 230 piece toolkit back here, a couple parts. You know, what's the worst that can happen? I thought I saw a broom. Oh, here it is. That beautiful GTO over there. In 2019 on Power Tour, I helped build the motor in that thing in a motel room. It was a good time. Okay, I trust that broom more than this curtain rod. Put the air cleaner there for now. Here's the wing nut to that. Stick that over here. See if we can get this shell out. It should reveal the transmission. Haha! Indeed. Now we can see more of the business end of the vehicle here. Pretty unique, isn't it? So again, we got the 351 Cleveland. Some would call it a 4V or just a 4 Venturi or 4-barrel. And they came with the big Holly on them, and some had the dual point lightning whirlers up there. And the simple short answer, what's the difference between a Windsor and a Cleveland? Well, the Windsors were made in Windsor, Canada, and the Clevelands were made in Cleveland, Ohio. Behind that, we've got the ZF 5-speed. This is a German transmission, and it's in a bunch of cars like Maseratis and a whole bunch of other ones. That is called rust. Great. You want that on your flywheel? Nope. Down here, we got some big old U-joints driving this thing. Here is the secondary or slave cylinder to the clutch system. So there's one that builds pressure in the front, transfers that pressure back to here, and the clutch is moved hydraulically. That is a concern, a very big concern. Wiring looks pretty good, although there were droppings in the vehicle. I don't see a bunch of evidence of mice back here. The wiring looks pretty good, actually. Now I'm leaning all the way in here. I mean, this is a big distance, if you look at this. So I think to efficiently work on this, I've got to get this hatch off somehow. Take these shocks off. Looks like a couple bolts under there. I can maybe mark that. I think that hinge comes up into here. Get these off, get that off, grab a hand and see if we can get this pulled off. And then at least a guy can probably come at it from the side, and instead of destroying my back here, we can destroy it here and scratch the paint at the same time. See what I'm saying? They didn't even tape that off when they... Oh, I just fixed it. There we go. Never mind. Yeah! Guy's gonna have to be a little more delicate waking up this engine. It's nothing special. It's just a Cleveland. It's not like a supercar motor or anything. The reason I say that is the amount of miles we have home. If I just started jamming on the key, I don't want to cause a bunch of damage that's going to fight us. We need to try to save on it as much as we can. I wonder if a guy could fit a blower under there. I don't know, just something, you know, 142 Wyand or something. Probably not. Plenty of room for turb skis back here though. I'm not saying that's what we're doing. I'm just saying there's room. Well, that's solo. Okay, guys, got these shocks or struts off, or loose on the top anyway. Don't know that I need to take the bottom off. Now I'm gonna work on these up in here. There's two of them each side. And I'm hoping that my hatch holder 400, it's real nice, I got it on sale, is gonna hold that steady. The great thing is I don't really have to worry too much about scratching paint. In fact, I already just blew a big chip off right there. Could that hold it here enough to where I could try to struggle slide this thing off? It's actually way heavier than it looks. You'd think it'd be light, but no, it is not. This is going to be really bad. If you're faint of heart, now's the time to go get another cold stack. You're about to hear paint chipping and ripping. Okay. Now, back test. Oh yeah. There it was. There it is. Oof. That's gotta be 200 pounds. Oh yeah. Way more room. I can even see the valve covers. Neat. Morosos. Not gold, but we almost have all the gold twisties. Not enough for those two, but the other ones are there. There's a closer look at the flywheel and clutch. Oof. Oofta. I thought that was a fuel pressure gauge, but it's a vacuum gauge. Interesting. This must run all the way up to the brake booster, I would assume. Manual choke, but that ain't hooked up to anything. That's interesting. But it ain't locked up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a rebuild kit for that bad boy way up here. That'll be interesting in itself. Oh no, it's got a Fram filter on it. We'll have to change that. I wonder if this fuel tank's got a drain on it. What have we got in there? What is it? How does it look? Empty? No, there's something in there. See that shine? Smells great. Really great. I think them headers used to be white. Painted white. Okay. I think I'm gonna wad this up on the transmission and we're just going for it. So, we need to dismantle this ignition system because I think I'm just gonna replace it all. The wires don't look terribly bad, but they're 33 years old at minimum. Same with the sparkulators. Now the 351 Cleveland, 351 modified, and the 400 modified all have the same firing order. The distributor rotates counterclockwise, and the firing order is 13726548. Ford's kind of goofy. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, where everyone else is a little bit different. So all I got to do here is find the number 1, and we'll mark that somehow. I don't have a Sharpie or something, but we'll figure it out. Scribe it. and then we'll know where we're at when we put this thing back together. We just do that same firing order, bingo bango, we're ready to go. So let's tear into this and get the ignition system out. We also need to figure out if we have a dual point system on the Axel Lightning Whirler or not. Well, guys, got the lightning hoses out, and some fantastic news and less favorable news under the business end here. First of all, this has been upgraded to a magnetic style pickup lightning whirler. And that's great because now we're not going to have to monkey around with the dual points ignition, which is fantastic news. Not so greatish. This works, but the 4 bars is stuck. They won't actuate, so that's going to have to come off. I'm going to have to take a look at that. There's no way I'm getting a rebuild kit for a Holley double pumper out here. So that's going to be super sketchy, or maybe we can find something laying around here. Then I was digging inside. I took out the foot rugs and everything, cleaned them up and see if I can get them stuck down to the floor. They were wrapping around the feet. Trying to tilt the seat forward, and I remembered it just slides. But anyway, look what I found behind the seat. Isn't that cool? And it's never been opened. It either evaporated or leaked out. Nothing in here, but there's no date. But maybe someone out there is a Pepsi Cola fan and can identify the year on this. We know it's before 1991. But I thought that was pretty neat. Maybe we'll leave it here with Rich. He's got a bunch of cans up there. What I'm doing right now is trying to get access to this cover, because that is where the crank, water pump, and charging whirler is. And if we can get a wrench on the crankshaft, that would be super ideal. I'm going to work on this for a little bit, let my back rest, and then we'll come back here again. We still got to get all the sparkulators out of this thing. This side won't be a problem. This side where the coolant fill is going to be a challenge, to say the least. I don't know. I do not. You know, oh, I'll never see that again. Italian sports car stuff, they use the square screws just like wood decks back in the day. That's good. It's going to be interesting to see how loud this thing is in here. I mean, you literally have stuff whirling on your shoulder. Mosquitoes are just, the only place they're stinging is my face. Why? Canadian mosquitoes is mean. That's why. Okay. How do I get to that side? Is that even possible? Wish these flip forward a little. I don't think they do. I don't. Should we just get the death wheel and start cutting? I don't know. This might be the last one. Not sure. Repeat. Not sure. Okay, that might have been it. I can't see nothing. Is it in down there? I don't think so. How do I live without you? Sorry. Get this out. I just want to know. Here we go. Big screwdriver file looking thing. Aha! What is this wire? Looks like into the seatbelt. Is that enough? Yeah, there we go. Huh. What do we got? Can't see nothing. We got an AC compressor on here. We got a water pump. That's good, I suppose. Charging whirler. Belts look pretty decent. I probably should have shipped a lot of this way ahead. Boy, that lower rad hose blows. You're having a bad day, feller. Real bad day. So this is how close you're sitting to that engine. There's the crank right there. Right behind where you throw your change and car wash coupons. Bam. But now we can get a wrench on that. So that's good. We're not just going to have to jam the starter into the flywheel there. But now let's go ahead and try to twist our feet up around our collarbones and everything else and get these sparkulators out. Well, a guy did successfully get all of the sparkulators out, the old lightning staffs. That was really easy. No, but honestly, it's almost like they planned ahead. If you look at the coolant reservoir and the piping they did on that side, the drinker side has the sparkulator shooting forward, so you could reach around and actually get to them, and it's not jammed into the rear wheel well area. Whereas this side with the fuel tank is open, they're pointed backwards, you can get in there. Either a coincidence or they actually built this car and looked at it and said, we could make that better. I don't know if that's the case or not. They did go out of business. When was that, 92? Yep. Fun fact, the majority, 3/4 of these sold at Mercury car lots. Yeah, because Ford was half owner of the car. You know, the whole Ferrari versus Ford thing. They wanted to get in, so they said, hey, feller, we'll put Ford motors in this, we'll import them, and we'll sell them. Well, that didn't work. That didn't work very good at all. Anyway, we're doing this so we can not only read on the engine, see what it was doing when it last ran 33 years ago, and how it ran, but I want to put some juice in the engine, loosen this thing up, then we can put a crank on it. Unfortunately, we have some not so good news. Come on, get over here and check this out. Look at these. So a majority of these look like this. Just very heavy carbon fouled. It's running very, very rich and a lot of carbon buildup. Not terribly concerning until I got to number 5. This thing is just shot. That is from very excessive oil consumption or burning. This thing wasn't firing. So when it last ran, it was running on 7. So number 5, we got to keep an eye on that guy. And then if we come around over here, when I'm crawling around in here, I'm being very careful not to crunch any of the AC components or these brake lines. It has these Italian style fittings. We don't want to be messing with that stuff. Over here, a lot of the same until 2. Same thing. So actually it was probably running on 6. This one isn't grounded between the strap at least, but it probably wasn't running the hottest. Speaking of hot, this is a medium plug. The old Motorcraft ASF 42. I believe it's the first number is a 4, which is on the upper end of the medium scale. I believe we want to run a hotter plug. So I'm going to switch to an Autolite because I am much better at understanding their heat range, and in my opinion they're just a better sparkulator. So we're going to run a hotter plug to try to burn up some of this carbon and oil and everything else, and maybe keep them cleaner longer. We don't want to be changing these again before we get home. Moses, sandals, that wouldn't be fun. Okay, now I think I'm going to go ahead and put a wrench on the old engine, and I just want, because I can't take it anymore. You know what I mean? The blood pressure's high. Let's see if this thing just wants to rotate. Just give me something. And then we'll figure out how in the devil I'm going to get a funnel in here and we'll juice this thing up with something. Okay, fellers and fellettes. Oh, I never get nervous about this part. It just is what it is, but I have got a lot riding on this motor spinning. Okay. Okay, please. Oh no. This way? Oh. Oh. There it's going. Oh. There. Oh, thank goodness. Whew. Whoa. Okay. It did not want to budge this away, but that away, which I guess is the way it fires, it broke free. Slow, it was tight, but then it came around. Whew! Ears are hot. Am I going down right now? I might be, actually. Let's get some juice in this. I don't have any. I gotta borrow something from Rich. We just need like diesel fuel or ATF or WD-40, any sort of hydraulic oil. There's gotta be something around here. Let's find something. Snagged up my funnel here at Princess Auto, and I found this. Adaf D3 Fluid Pour Transmission Automatique 1 litre. Petro Canada, I don't know. I think it's ATF. So this will have to work. I don't think Rich is gonna mind. It looks like it's from the 80s. I should smell it though and make sure it's not something special he refilled it with. It smells burnt. This may be recycled. Perfect. No, it's good. So we'll dump some in each cylinder. This has a detergent or a cleaning agent in it and a lubricant. So when we go to crank on this thing, it's gonna help this engine spin nice and free and not gouge up the cylinder walls, hopefully. I don't always do this, to be quite honest. As you guys know, if you've watched for one of the 758 million times I've done this. Depends on how long it's been sitting, how long I need to drive, what the engine is, and a guy's gut feeling. That's the bigger thing. Oh. Okay, up to number 5 here. There we go. Apologize to Rich in advance. She's gonna look like a bloodbath in here, but he said, well, there's nothing this floor ain't seen, so bring it. We're gonna do that. Okay, working on the drinker side now. By the way, this cap is in beautiful shape. Looks absolutely brand new. Like it was driven across town and parked after an ignition upgrade, for example. So I think that's exactly what happened. Maybe the points were going bad. Some shop talked them into an upgrade. The son actually told me as I was leaving, this was supposed to be 400 horsepower, or that's what his dad said. And I don't know, maybe. I really don't know. I think you'd have to have a cam to get there because it's got stock heads. The most I ever made from the factory was 345, 350. And that was with the bigger Cleveland heads and the big Holly and the fancy intake and all that stuff. But either way, they're light cars. There's nothing to them. It does not take a lot of power to get these things just whisking. Okay. There we go. I just realized that my new cap, rotor, and wires I ordered are going to be wrong now. So we're going to have to reorder that in the morning, unless they happen to have them in stock. Ain't much up here for parts. Huge respect for you guys that wrench up here in the land of Canada and maples. Because I'm so used to just going to O'Reilly and saying I need this, and bam, it's there. And if they don't have it, hey, we'll have it by 3 or whatever. No, that is not a thing up here. That doesn't happen. Where's number 1? Is this it way up here? How am I going to get my arm in there to put the sparkulator back? I don't know. I was asking you, but I was asking you. Well, you're the one that's going to put it in. I'm just watching. Fine, but you're going to have to do something. Hold a light, wrong, in my face. This guy, once again. Okay, so while the engine is soaking up, drinking up that good old Canadian additive, let's get in here. First of all, see what we got going on. Should be a brake master cylinder, booster, clutch master, trunk space, radiator, fans, all of that. And maybe we got treasures. We normally start in the trunk. We got so frazzled. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, there's a lever in here. Let's pull that. It should be tucked underneath. Yep, there it is. Okay. And now, oh, piece of cake. Oh, wow. Hey, we got tools. There we go. Here, I'll pay my rent.
Nice. I'm gonna hang that on the wall.
How old do you think that is? Well, we found a super adjustable croissant wrench. Rich just told me this is called was it a Robertson?
Robertson.
Robertson. Made in the town over.
It is the best screwdriver that you can get. Square, it'll never strip. It's I don't know why it's not more common, but you guys don't have them in the Free States, do you?
No, not really.
No.
See, now we know. Mark of excellence. Bam. I do know they were in the motorhomes in like the 70s, 80s. We got a loose 1/4 inch. A clean shirt, just in case something happens.
The paint actually leaked out of the car onto the shirt.
Right, I don't even know what. And a winning lotto ticket, or what's left of it. And some more rust. I don't know what that is. That clearly, maybe a horn or something. I'm not even sure what that was. There's the brake distribution. That's also brakes. Here's our
ABS?
clutch. Yeah, it could be an ABS. No, definitely not. It's got juice. That one is, oh, that's got juice too. Wow.
Did you try the brake pedal?
I was scared to. I didn't want to lock the wheels up before we
moved it. Good
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah, that is a good thing.
Yeah, so I've waited. Oh, the battery cables are really good.
Yeah.
Is that
Don't
the
look under the tape.
Might add those to my list.
I've got all the battery cables you need.
And we've got, boy, they didn't tape anything. They just,
I guess the idea is there.
yeah. And I doubt these are going to work. But if we drive fast enough, they should just spin on their own.
It don't stop.
Yeah. And... oh, no, the horn is down here. Dueling horns. So I don't know what this other wiring is for. But a lot of room for luggage. Actually, no, you can't even fit a golf bag in there. It's pretty terrible, actually. Well, I think while everything's out of here, I'm gonna grab the old mouse sucker over here and blast through this thing and just clean it up. And then we'll throw the battery in. And I think I'll just vice grip that down for now, you know what I mean? See what we can get to come to life here. This big dent that was right here, that's less denty. I just reached through the wheel well there and hip it and popped it up. Someone must have just sat or pushed on her. Pretty flimsy, actually. But I'll get the rest of this once we get the drinker side front off. Guy can really get in there with the sledgehammer and get that out. Time to do some sketchy stuff. I'm doing other activities, letting the engine cook. Was about ready to vacuum, then decided to get this a little more up in a guy's teeth. You gotta take these tires off eventually anyway. But finding a jacking point, ooh, that doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all. Has been a little challenging. Oh, we got coolant pipes to go all the way back, just like a DeLorean. Forgot about that nightmare. Oh, okay. Find some more jack stands. And now when a guy's working back here, we're not busting the old Baccalator 258. Oh, here's some right here. How many more miles? Oof. I don't like the way this is looking. So close. Come on. There we go. Control arms. Front and back. Oof. That was not a good crunch noise. Note to self, don't jack there anymore. Put a piece of aluminum there to try to, note to self, don't push up on that bumper head anymore. Put a piece of aluminum down there to try to spread the load and not have the jack dig in, but it wasn't happy. Okay, now she's up on the pause. All right, let's see what this thing's got. Okay, juice. Yep. Oh wow, this thing sounds beefy, cammed up. Oh yeah. This used to be yellow. Confirmage. Originally a yellow 71. Oh, that hooks to the cowl. Weird. Pulling a lot of stuff out of there. Seemed like too much. Can't quite get that over here. Stuff's in the way. Okay. Guess I might as well run this through the inside, eh? There we go. Sneak this back here. There we go. Never been smoked in. Needs a door gasket seal. Man, this thing is pretty rough. But, you know the old saying, you get what you pay for. This didn't clean up the greatest. A lot of this paint is peeling. There must have been, there's some sort of oil or something in here. And you can see what it did to the paint. That's the original color. Pretty common. Yeller. And they went to this, it's not even really a red and it's not a maroon. It's not an orange. It kind of just depends on how you look at it. It looks really shiny and you think it'd scare me, but it's just in such terrible shape that I feel right at home. Inside cleaned up pretty good. Yeah, but unfortunately, I'm seeing more issues. We got some rot starting in here, which is not good. There's that original yellow. And worst of all, and is really unfortunate because it means we are pulling probably engine and transmission and stripping the entire rear suspension out of this car. While putting jack stands down here, I saw this. So we have integrity issues. Both sides look like that. Completely rotted, and I can't get to them unless we pull the control arms, the shafts, the suspension, the exhaust, all of that. So that's a big project. This has been schmuckered in or pulled, probably pulled with a chain or something. That's the underside. And then those pipes way down there, that's the cooling. Comes up to the engine. Hopefully those are rotted and leak everywhere. And we can fight that, just like I did on the DeLorean. And that's it for the exhaust. This comes right there. So let's throw a lightning cube in here, you know, group 27F, and see what comes alive with these terrible cables. Sad, engaged. Now for the positive cables. No sparks, nothing clicking. Fans are on. Well, that's good and bad. Why would they? Oh wait, I think these have a fan switch on the dash. Let me look really quick. What's that do? Now do we still have fanage? Is that an override? Same thing. Huh. I'm hearing the relay under there. Great, under the dash. That's where we want that. That's really where we want that to be. Okay. Now, where is my Princess Auto vice grip? Power fist! Or something like that. Really? Chrome Molly dairy dendum. My question is that also more than just a fan? Do we need that to fire up the ignition and everything else? I don't know. I don't. Let's start here. Let's see what that does. Well, I'm back. Everything's dead. Everything. Oh. Okay. Let's tie that in. Okay. Now it's not kicking on. It's just the relay is bucking. Why is it doing that? Oh, the blinker's on. That's a horn, apparently. How do you turn the blinker off? Power windows don't work. Don't know what that does. Fan doesn't work. Headlights don't work. That fan button doesn't work. Radio doesn't do anything. Wipers don't work. I think we're doing pretty good. How do I turn that off? That's gonna drive me nuts. How could everything be dead? Oh, the antenna works, so we're fine. I mean, if that's going, that sounds good. Okay, so the antenna works, but the radio doesn't come on. I think that's literally all we have. Nothing else. No wipers. Oh! It tried to wipe for a second. And then that stopped. Well, with the battery hooked up, great news. The power antenna works. And that's it. No, wait, the flashers work. I found that button, it's right here. Except only the front right flashes. Everything else is dead, but that's okay. We need to see if this engine is going to turn over with the key, or if we're going to be running home with the Lone Wolf 6000 in the passenger seat, his skeeters or something else, and everything hot wired. So let's jump in, throw it neutral, hit the key, fingers crossed, ignition wiring works, the ignition itself works, the relay to the starter works, and the motor turns fine. If all goes well, we're going to blow ATF all over the floor, and I'll have a huge mess to clean up. Let's do that. Neutral. And crank. What? Now we got everything in the world. Headlights come up. What is going on? Bad ground? Probably. Wouldn't believe it. Both the headlights work. Fan comes on. Well, now that we got a radio, that's really all I care about, let's be honest. What was that noise? I don't understand anything. Blinker stick is broken. I still don't think we have a radio. Wait. Yes! I really don't care if it runs now. All right, here we go. Hits. Yes. No. Yes. There we go. Yes. Oh, it's everywhere. It's so bad. Ouch. Crank it a little more here. Make sure we got all of it out. That's pretty good, don't you think? Well, I think I'm going to call it a night, actually. I am exhausted from all the traveling, but we had a very successful day. We got this thing out of its tomb. 33 years it sat in that garage. And my buddies, we got her up in the air, got the ignition tore apart, kind of have a better understanding of what's going on. We got juice in the car. Things are coming to life somehow. And the engine rotates. Really good, actually. Fantastic news. We'll be back early in the morning, and we got to start working on sparkles, figure out fuel, get this thing to fire, bark off, and run. Once I can get that thing sitting here running, then we can focus on the brake system and the clutch system, which is going to be a nightmare, I promise you. I also need to track down a guy in town that's supposed to have a horde of fuel method happeners. I got to get something different for this, or a rebuild kit if he happens to have one. Most likely not. But if we can get any sort of 4-barrel up on this thing and get it fired up, that'd be fine. We'll throw the other one in the passenger seat, take it home, go through it later. But I'm excited. It's going to be a tremendous amount of work, but we have 1,000 miles to make it back. And I hope we can do the road trip, because the first stop, Niagara Falls. It's going to be awesome. See you in the morning. Well, good morning. Day 2 on the 71 D Tomaso Pantera. Well, I've been at it early today. Went to breakfast this morning with the guys, had some laughs. That was a good time. I always try to spend a little money with the local shops, especially the small towns. I know they really appreciate it. And then swung over to the parts store, grabbed a box of goodies here. We've got some fuel line, oil filtre, lightning hoses, which are up here. I was test fitting those. We've got a DuraSpark ignition we found out yesterday instead of dual points, which there's pros and cons there, I guess. And I was opening a box that I shipped ahead and making sure I got some parts. These very special, unique brake pads. I've got some cooling pipes in here just in case. I've got a brake master cylinder, which I already lined up that fit. And maybe the most important thing in my first ever, a technical information book. Because what in the devil is going on? This should tell us. It has everything from charging and starting and cooling and fuel and ignition and clutch. It has all the stuff on the ZF transmission. So if we need some help, this is going to be able to help us out. Like right here is a nice diagram on the whole start relay. We might look into the fan. Remember when we wire this up? Ooh, I forgot to get, darn it, I forgot to get a battery clamp post thing. But we could follow the fan wiring and see why that's hot right when we touch it. Remember? Never mind. Oh, the key's not on. Here's the plan. Don't have one still. But I do know this, today, if I'm going to pull this off and get home in time to catch my flight from Nashville back to Minneapolis, where I'm filming another revival, this thing needs to be running today. We need to test the transmission today. Tomorrow would be brakes, and then we need to be on the road. So we've got technically 2 more days, full days to get this done, and then I've got 2 to 3 days travel if this thing is able to cannonball, and if I fit and I'm able to fit comfortably enough to ride in this thing 300-400 miles a day. Why is this not shutting correctly? Not sure. So I think we'll just jump in with, let's drop the oil in this thing because we're going to be cranking on it. It's cooked overnight with some juice in there, and then we'll get the ignition system back together, test for spark. Went to a local guy named Jay, nice guy. Rich put me in touch with him. I bought this bad boy. We got a Holley vacuum secondary electric choke 650. And it's got an upgraded fuel log. It came off of his car actually. Just need a -6 to a barbed on that. We should be able to bolt that on. And that is going to fix our sick fuel make it happener back here, because I am not going to find a Holley rebuild kit where I am at in Canada. So let's jump in. We got to get this thing fired now. I'm going to check the oil again this morning. Yesterday I checked it before we cranked, just to make sure we have any, but now that we have been cranking on it, I want to see if we've added any coolant in here. We have not. Yeah, that's fine. And then I got the coolant cap off and the reservoir here. And that's still greenish. There we go. Got to make sure we bring these, well, hopefully they come back around. It's always a little sketchy with the head gaskets when they sit that long. Got to heat cycle them a few times, make sure they hang in there. Okay, I'm going to crawl underneath, get that fram out of there as quickly as possible, drop this oil, and we'll get some fresh stuff in here. Okay, this will be interesting because the drain plug is right against the rail. So when this comes out, I don't know where the oil's going to go. Could be in my teeth, could be over this rail, again it, I'm not really sure. Just going to have to try to act quick here. Oh boy. Oh, that's not so bad. Ooh, chunky. Now, I'll try to get this, you know, it's probably a pH 8A filter. I can reach it, I can't see it. Of course, they got it just smoked on there. There we go. Again, I don't know what kind of mess we're gonna get here. Ah, back here. Oh boy. Okay. I was hoping to see more oil actually, because that would have meant it was building good pressure while we were spinning on it. Yeah, wear guard, pH 8A. Looks to be in really good shape. Made in Canada. Look at that. Whoops. In for a splishy splash. Okay, now we're going to put a nape of gold in. That's also made by Man and Hamill. And this one should be made in the USA, yep. Made in the USA. If I can get it in there. I can't see nothing. Come on. There we go. Okay. That should work. While I'm down here, we should look at the fuel lines. What kind of mess we gonna? Oh, we gotta have a mess. Yes, we are. Okay. Out is. Do we replace all these? Oh, they're pretty crispy, aren't they? Out is by the filter. Remember that for me. Okay, okay. Okay, fuel tank. Well, we're down here. Here that is. More like a fuel cell. And I wonder, you can't see anything, but I wonder if there's a drain plug in here. I'm going to take this plate off right here and see if there's a drain plug, because it'd be nice to drain this old fuel out before we crank on it anymore and replace the fuel lines and all of that stuff. We're going to have to get into the fuel make it happener anyway. So let's just dig in and get it done. Looks like I need a big flathead. Get that off. Guys, just been fighting this cover. This bolt snapped on the back. This one didn't, but it's stuck. But I believe I see something in here. So I gotta get this off. I can maybe drain it. I'm gonna go get a vice grip. Try to rip that out. Hey, look at that. Plate's off. And we sure do have a drain plug in here. So let me go find what M&M that is. I don't know. 14 maybe. Get a pan under here and drain what's in here. Well, now a guy's having to take the wheel off. been fighting this drain plug for 42 months now, and it's stuck. I'd sure like to hit it with heat, but I don't think that that would be wise for some reason. But can a guy get a cheater pipe on it now that I got that off? Wild brakes. What? How does that even do anything? Okay. All right. Let me show you that. Here's your rear brake pads. Just for reference. 2 little guys. Must be 4 on the front. Coney shocks, coilover thingies. See if I can get these turned maybe. Definitely not replacing them. Anyway, here's what we're working on. Now I got a better shot in here. Try to get that off. All right. Is it going or am I just melting it? I think it's going. Oh, thank goodness. That's going to save a bunch of time. Now, where'd my drain pan go? Get over here. Yes. Up. There we go. Hope there's not more than what this pan holds. Then what do we do? Oh. That's why it was stuck. The whole bottom of the tank is putty. Yep, rust and putty. See if I can get some of it to come out. Look at that. Chunks. Oh no. I don't think I'm going to get all of it. We got to take this fuel tank out. That is going to be a nightmare. I don't even know if you can without pulling the motor. Syrup. Oh boy. Oh man, we're running out of room. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no, stop. Stop! Stop it, I said. I need to get a different jug. Look at this stuff. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, that's interesting. Look at that. Yikes. Gasoline was recycled in an approved recycling container, dated, all that stuff. I wish this was gold. This was a gold pan. We'd be doing all right, but it ain't. Flushed it a little bit, got the plug back in. Now, I definitely want to run a pre-filter before the fuel pump because we are undoubtedly, I didn't get it all. And the motor and transmission is going to have to come out of here to do chassis repair at some point. And that's when we can get this tank out and really do a good flush and coat it. But for now, can a guy get around 1,000 miles out of it is kind of what we're going for. So let's take advantage of the spilt gas and stuff, and oil. Wow, there we go. Now she'll run. Let's get this one too. There. Okay, now we can do topside work. We got the oil filter in, got the gas tank empty, so let's go ahead and fill this thing up with oil. We can check that off the list that I don't have. Sounds like 2 helicopters in here taking off. They're trying to get the gas fumes out. It is the most potent gasoline I have smelled in a long time. Earl-wise, guys going with the VR1s. You know, the racing and classic car formula. Or some would like to call it Virtus de Course et Classiques. It's got zinc, phosphorus, all the vitamins dinosaurs you need. Suction method. Got the doors closed now. Huge ceiling fan going. Whew. Boy, it smells. Choulet Moteur. Using 2050, by the way. I don't know what kind of oil pressure this has. So we're gonna start with a heavier weight, 20 weight. And if it's high or good, we can bring that back down to like a 1030 or a 1540 or something like that. But I'm firing it unknown this long. Let's give her some cushion. Okay, oil check. Just wanted to get that done and over with so I didn't forget mostly. Okay, now I think I'm going to take the fuel make it happener off, and we probably should go ahead and just start running some fuel lines. Not really worried about the vapor one, but at least the feed and from the tank. And I'm going to put a filter in probably right up there, somewhere we can reach it, because I have a feeling we're going to be replacing that every 249 kilometers. Or 5 miles, whatever that is.
What the heck is a kilometer?
What are you doing over here, Rich?
I'm gonna need a hand with this actually, because I'm putting a Sniper 2 on my GTO, and since you actually helped us put the Sniper on the Bronco, I figure I'll save this for when you're in the shot.
Okay.
But it's pretty easy. I just gotta pull the old wiring off. So the Sniper actually will control the 4L80 in it now. So
Oh, nice.
it's nice having one system.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's cool.
time to drive it again.
You're almost done.
I'm almost done.
You got a coil wire to hook up and ready to rock.
Yep.
A couple fuel lines. And...
A couple hose clamps are kind of important. Although it's insured for quite a bit. So.
Yeah. This is such a beautiful car. You got to go buy it to get to the washroom, and every time I'm just like hugging the wall, scraping tools off. Don't want to get close to it. It's first.
It's already under the cover, but
No.
it is a fun car. We put a lot of miles on this one, girl.
Yeah. 2019 is the first time I saw this. That's when you painted it, right?
It was fresh paint with a bad engine, and we built the engine in the hotel room, flipped over the mattresses, and it was quite the adventure. If you haven't checked that video out, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So guys on the ground looking up, and here's the fuel pump, and then the lines that go up to the top of the tank there. Way up there. So I need to get these disconnected. We're going to be replacing them. If the tank was full of crud, these are too, and these lines are really brittle. And we're not going to put OEM stuff back in. We're going to put just rubber line in, because why not? And then we'll put a filter up top, so when we plug that, we can keep replacing it. I'm going to be confident and say on our way home. So let me get these off. I'm having to cut the ends with the knife. They were so brittle and stuck on there. Oh, okay, there's gasoline. Get some room, I gotta slice them up. So here's the old fuel system here. So this comes out of the tank with the banjo fitting, and then down into the pump, out of the pump, into this pretty cool right angle fill tray, into the fuel make it happener. We're not gonna use this one. We'll put one in back here, and we're gonna put one in right up here, so we can reach it out of the tank. So I just got to cut this banjo fitting off, and we'll start replacing this stuff. Well, the guy is waiting on some 5/16 fuel line filters and hose clamps. I got the 3/8, but we need the 5/16. So while I'm waiting, I decided to bust off all the other tires and wheels, and because we got rubber coming tomorrow sometime, and get this stuff replaced. Some really good news. You can't find these rotors. I tried. Rarely ever do they come up for sale. And they're just, turned, basically. The amount of money they want for them is absolutely insane. I'm not doing that. We're just gonna run some sandpaper on them. You know what I mean? Do the old vice grip turn, paint them black, call them good. Now, the bad news, very bad news. Good news, rotors look pretty good. Bad news is taking the tires off. And that grease everywhere is a telltale sign of a failing wheel bearing. Now, if we come over here to the drinker side, this sounds normal. Smooth, quiet, no issue. If we come over here to the driver's side, or the captain's side, that is shot. We are not going far on that wheel bearing. And I'm assuming it's an outer, but I'm gonna go ahead and start taking this apart now, because finding those wheel bearings, I don't know. This could be really bad news. In fact, this could actually shut us down. I'm sure we could find something somewhere, but I'm out in the country in Canada. I'm not feeling very confident about that. I'm gonna wait till Rich gets back. Maybe he knows an industrial place or something, kind of equivalent to a national bearing. Maybe they're international bearing. I don't know. But not good news. Really not good news. Doesn't mean I'm not going to keep working on the thing. We're still going to get it fired up and everything else, but I got to get this off quick so we can start searching for an equivalent wheel bearing. Okay, let's take a look, see what we have. Outside wheel bearing. Doesn't look horrendous. Trying to see the brand. If it's a Tinkham, we stand a chance. Something just fall out of here. Yeah. Oh, shoot. There's the outside wheel bearing, which means we're going to have to delicately deal with the seal on this. Huh. Didn't see any damage there. See the metal on my leg? It's on the rag. And sure enough, the race is just absolutely destroyed on this. Only on one side it failed. This side. That side, fine. So it's just a race failure. And we caught it in time. The actual bearing isn't too terrible. This is a Japanese bearing. Japan! Bauer, I think. But I have a semi-legible number on it. Oh, there's just metal chunks falling out of this. Look at my hand. So that's going to be fun. I'm sure Rich has a race and seal driver thing in here. I was able to get the seal out okay, just flipped it upside down, used a screwdriver. But we got to get that out and try to find a new bearing. Stat! Look at all the silver. So anyway, I'm going to dig in the manual and let's see if we can find any cross references here. Where would we go? Suspension maybe? I'm not sure. Well, Rich came back and he did know a guy that knew a guy that went to school with a guy whose cousin's friend works at a place. Anyway, he said he got some bearings for the front. So then he said, how's the back look? And I said, well, I've spun it on one side and it was good. And then I spun this side and good. Why does this have bad bearings, front and rear? Very not good. Very, very not good. And this isn't just a simple put a bearing in. This is upper and lower ball joints and axle shaft and brakes and the whole gamut. Meanwhile, we don't even know if it runs. But I have to get that apart so we can get the bearings ordered or on the way, or we're not doing anything even if it does run. So shifting gears once again. Well, I got as far as I could. Got the axle unbolted, got the brakes off. Top ball joint nut is off. I need a pickle fork. I know there's one in here, but I don't want to dig, so I'm waiting on that. So I decided to go ahead and tackle this side. If we're going to put bearings on that side, Miles will put them on this side. But it's got this weird nut on here. Instead of a cotter key, they just smash it into the groove, and it's not backing off. And I've got a chisel or one I could find. I think it's for wood. But I've been whittling at this for a while. I'm just going to take the death wheel and trim around this and see if I could take the end off to get this nut off. And then we'll doll this one up as well and put it back together. Either going to work great or I'm going to destroy this. Where did I just... oh, it's up here. You know, put it on top of the carburetor. Don't want to get into the threads. There we go. Okay. Yep. Now what will it say? What will you say to me now? Where's my... there it is. Not good. You're telling me you're not happy still. Oh. There we go. Left-handed thread on the right side. Well, now we know. We're just learning here. That's part of the fun. You know what I mean? This ain't no Chevy Caprice with a 327. I think this has been replaced. Yep. Timken. someone's been in here for one reason or another. Is it just me, or is that missing a bolt? Might just be me. Okay, got this off. That's good. Turn it upside down. We will take a extension, put it on the bearing lip. Little tappy tappy. Little tappy. Just being stubborn. Come on. Don't want to break that seal. I think it might be coming.
So this ball joint, we have to get this off, this upper whatever, and the boot is probably $90. So we can stick a pickle fork in there, which I don't have, but it's gonna wreck the boot. Generally we try to pry up on it and hit her with the old persuader. But what I'm gonna do, I can't pry hard enough, so I'm gonna build a little extender just to push on it. So some threaded rod, I'm gonna put a sleeve over it, tighten the nut down to put some pressure on it, and if you give her a whack right there with the nut still on but loose, it should crack it loose.
Sweet.
Safety.
Pantera persuader.
Yeah, safety squints.
Nice.
I think I have to bevel that so it doesn't slip off. Or vice grip it from the bottom or something.
Hey, the spreader offer thing worked.
This will be available on eBay, $400.
That's a steal.
Yeah, it is. When you've got a ball joint that's worth $800, it is.
So he put some tension on it, and you can see where we were whacking it. A little bit of prying came off. This nut also came off, speaking of coming off. So now I'm going to fold this down, and then apparently, according to the constructions, you just find something to whack this rod that goes all the way through the bottom there, and then this whole assembly comes off, and that's not even the start of it. Then there's a bunch of pressing, and I don't know. There's a lot of stuff after that. We're gonna have to figure out, but we gotta fix this issue. Sounds like a merry-go-round from a school that's been shut down for 50 years, so that's pretty good. Well, a little bit of an update on this nightmare. The service manual says take a soft punch and drive this pin out. That's not the case. I've heated this with a torch. I've been beating on it. So now we're taking off the whole lower control arm so we can get this out with the press. So then we can start putting this in a press and take this apart as well. So it's really just kind of snowballing here. I don't know if we could take it apart much further. Got the lower shock undone, got the front bolt out, need to do the rear bolt. I might try to keep this bracket on here and just slide it off, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. Shouldn't be too bad though, just a bolt here, bolt there on that. Okay, bolts are out. shock is out. Sway bar is not. See if I can get this out with that in or not. Okay. Now, slide it. Get this jack stand out of the way. There we go. Ooh, my arthritis is acting up today in my elbow. Ouch. Okay. There we go. All right. Well, yeah.
Yeah, who's gonna crank?
Okay.
I have a phone call. I'm just gonna step outside.
Close your eyes. Oh, there you go.
It's only a.
Oh, wow. It's not liking that.
Okay.
That's all my body weight.
That's not good.
I think it's stuck.
I think it is stuck, but it does spin in here very slowly. They can try heating up that again, but man, that is not good.
Sawzall? Okay, so now we're trying to get these pieces separated. You can see here we've got this part my thumb is on is connected to the shaft itself. The rotor is sandwiched between. We think the bearing is fine, but this nut came loose because I was able to take this off with my fingers, just like this, when it was in the car. And when I tightened it, the slop went away. Well, I think unfortunately what happened is the shaft itself, or the hub, I guess you would call it, I don't know. This thing that goes to the thing that hooks onto the stuff that the wheel hooks to, it goes into this stuff. That got chewed up and worn away, so there's going to be play in there unless we can figure out how to get this on tight enough to where the preload is correct. There's another shaft essentially that comes on this side and sandwiches down on here. It's kind of a goofy design. We're trying to find something circular to go around this whole thing so we could put it in the press. It's part number 5874-A. We're going to try to make our own, or just some blocks of wood or something. Oh, look at that. Big truck stuff.
Big truck stuff. Look at that.
Oh yeah, perfect.
I just need a full aluminum rim would be best.
What if we block that up and then this is what touches the...
Well, you can't. Yeah, we can take a couple 4x4s or whatever and
Yeah.
block off that.
Version 2, 4065 transfer truck, press-o-matic. Oh, there it goes. Piece of cake.
4060s are good for something.
Yeah. Big Italian sports car guys. Got all the tools. Well, the guy around the town got some bearings. This is the old one that's just seized, welded. That thing got hot. Bluish, purple. This is the other one that's shot, just heat transfer. They had the smaller ones, the 6208s. The 6308s will be here in the morning. So we're gonna have to wait to put the rear end back together, have the bearings for the front. I think I'm gonna wait there too. This is an awful lot of work so far, and we haven't even heard this thing run. So after we add some metal back onto that axle stub thing, we're going to throw it in this bad boy. And Rich knows how to run this. I don't even know what I'm looking at, but apparently you can make round things in that. And 40 millimeter. He's going to skim it right down, cut those welds off, and make it perfectly 40 millimeters, give or take 5. And we want to add more material in so it actually grabs that bearing and spins that bearing. When that nut walked off, it wallered it out. If we just jam it back in there again, it's not going to grab that bearing and essentially do the same thing, and I'm not going to make it home. So he's adding material and then taking it right back off. Pretty cool. So I think I'm going to switch gears once again and go back to getting this fuel system done. Get the new to me fuel make it happener, which is used on, and let's try to get this thing fired and making some noise. I would really like to hear this thing run at this point, and then we can get back to suspension chassis stuff. We got a lot of reassembly to do. Well, I changed the way some of this was routed back in here. Threw the lightning whirler cap on just so I can kind of plan ahead a little bit. By the way, this is on, done, tightened up. We got action. Spring is springing. We've got, gotta put a zip tie right there. New from the tank, pre-pump filter. And then we've got a post-pump filter. And that comes right back around into this fuel log, which was already on this used carb, which is great. And we've got a fuel pressure gauge right there. I'm gonna have to either wire this open, twist this full lean, or actually wire it up with a 12 volt keyed ignition so the choke does choke things. This is also kind of concerning. This is way off, and I'd have to like tape that on there or something. There was a spring clip on there, but I dropped it somewhere, and I really don't know where that went. So now it's on to ignition. Let's get the new lightning hoses in here. Oh, and sparkulators. We'll start with sparkulators and then get the new lightning hoses laid in, and then we're getting very close to firing this up finally. Well, the ignition is back together, all in here. I think I might hook up a Lone Wolf 5000, not the traditional 6000. That's all I could find. And let's test spark first, make sure we got sparkles, and then we're going to throw some fuel in, see if the fuel pump is going to want to pump. I already made sure that this is clear coming through as far as any blockages or anything like that. So that's coming along. Rich is over here making drum beats.
Yeah.
Test.
Fitting the old bearing on there, so we only have one shot with the new one, because if I'm too tight, we have to cut this off with the torch. So
Oh.
yeah. I don't really want, like, it slides on my piece, it's stuck on the old piece that's in between my two bearings. And I didn't want to shave any of that off, because that's my original measurement.
Right. That's true. It's kind of, I don't know. You can't go too much. You
Can't go, it's kind of picky, but it's not either one of our best suits, I guess.
Yeah. Details.
We're more of a close enough.
Yeah. By the way, this is how I got the sparkulators in, was through the fender well. A lot easier. Here's the starter relay. Boy, this other brand Lone Wolf is just junk. Gator clip's bent, but hopefully that's gonna do. Got it hooked on the starter down here. Now we'll go throw the battery in, make sure that spins the engine over. You know, the other thing we're doing here while we're checking for spark is we're actually building oil pressure, and I'm going to be looking for that as well. So we're going to hook up the accessories at the same time so we can verify that we're getting oil pressure before we throw fuel at this thing and crank it off. I'd like to at least see, 5 to 10 pounds on the gauge if we can. And then when we fire it, we know we got oil for bearings and everything like that. Time to add fuel. I cranked on it for a few minutes. That lone wolf isn't going to work, unfortunately. It's too cheesy. The clips broke off already. If I need to, I guess I can just cut the wire and wrap it around the starter lug and the relay. Gonna throw in some gasoline here. And then we'll prime the carb. Now this carb is going to be interesting. It looks fairly new, but it came off another engine. I don't know how it's tuned. I don't know what the feller did or didn't do to it. He does run a very nice looking shop, so I'm inclined to believe the feller knows what he's doing. But I don't know what it came off of. Could have been a block of eggs. I have no idea. So we might have to get in there and adjust on it and this and that. I do not have the electric choke hooked up yet. I need to hear this thing fire. It's towards the end of the day, and just been thrashing on this thing without a glimpse of hope. If this fires, I'm gonna feel so much better. All right, putting some two-stroke fuel in this bad boy. I'm gonna have to climb in to do this. And that little bit of oil is gonna help lubricate the needle and seat, valve train, cylinder walls, all of that while we get her woke back up. Easy. Oh, it's just going everywhere. I love these Hollies, but it seems like the needles like to stick on them when they sit for a while. So we might have to wrap on them a little bit. Okay. Make sure we got squirters. There we go. It is time, fellers and fellettes, to fire this bad boy up. Okay, neutral check, waist grip on the battery check, sketchy jack, back here check. Here we go. Yes. Great oil pressure.
Yeah, nice.
Not pulling fuel yet.
We'll get out the crayons and color me tickled pink.
That was too easy.
That was too easy. It sounds pretty good too. Yeah. No giant knock or tick or nothing.
Wow. Okay. I'm a little concerned about it not pulling fuel yet.
Yeah.
Might have to siphon it a little bit.
You cleaned the whole inside of that tank, right?
Yes. Super cleaned. Nothing.
That's a nice steady pour.
Maybe too much, huh? That ATF on the headers is working pretty good.
Yeah.
Lubricating the lungs.
What's the best way to see if they're firing on all the cylinders, yeah?
The clutch is obviously isn't seized or anything, and this sounds like it's not making any noise.
No? You might be able to go home.
Huh. I was enjoying the weather so much so. Yeah. Okay, fuel delivery issue. Surprise. Probably sucked all the varnish off the bottom of the tank that Rich told me to flush. Well, I shall investigate that. It runs. It sounds great. It's got oil pressure. Haven't got to any of the charging or any of that stuff yet. Need to investigate fuel delivery. I might just have to drink a gallon, get that plugged into the pump, backfeed the line. That diaphragm of the pump is probably, you know, crisp. Might have to bring it back around, or we could throw a clicky-clacky in it and that could fail every 50 miles. But we got options. I'm gonna air this place out and I'm happy, very happy. Well, laid underneath the rig and succillated on that line, got nothing but vapor. I thought that was weird. And then I remembered plugging that line back in with that banjo, and there was no tube connected to the banjo. Well, I assumed there was a solid piece in the tank that the banjo was connecting to. I wanted to verify that, so I came into this manual here. This is slightly different because we have a filler tube pipe. We have the vapor, which I believe is still plugged in. But then look at this, we have the actual sending unit, and that says to fuel pump, which makes sense, because that would have the pipe that drops down in the tank. I've got to get in there and root around a little bit more. I think things have been changed around before I got it, and I need to make certain what's going on. The one that might make sense is the fuel pump is actually going to vapor canister, which is really interesting. So of course this tank is different than what's in the service manual for a 71. I don't know why. Maybe it's a 72 tank, a late 71 build. But I can't get fuel out of either line going into this thing. There's only two of them. The manual does show a pipe plug or something in here. That's not connected either. So I'm going to take this filler neck off, try to gain some more room, either to get my hand in there to feel around, or stick this mirror in there so I can try to gauge what's happening. Eventually I'm going to get frustrated, give up, and just jam the fuel line through the filler neck. And that's going to get us home, and when we pull this engine and transmission, we could pull the fuel tank out, properly clean it and repair it. Very doubtful I'll find another one, but it's kind of a goofy design anyway, because that header is literally touching the fuel tank down there. So I don't really get that. So let me get this off quick, see if we can see something. Okay, updates. Was able to see into the tank. Worst tank I've seen in a long time. Everything internally is rotted. The baffles, the pickup, the float is laying on the bottom. It's in terrible shape, but I've done more with less. So we already got a tank. We ain't got to do a boat tank. But what I am going to do is, I've already measured the depth. I'm going to, and this keeps it out of the sediment hopefully, zip tie the fuel line to this so I can drop it in like that, and we'll be able to pull fuel and hopefully keep it out of all the gunk in there. We'll run it, see what's going on, and if we have to make adjustments, we'll just pull this up a little bit. Slightly smoky in here. As you can guess, it started again, and we're pulling fuel, actually really quickly. So I'm gonna fire it up one more time after I tighten this hose clamp, I forgot to. And I gotta let some of this stuff burn off, or this is just gonna keep happening. And preferably not down the road. Would like to avoid any of that stuff. So we'll fire it up. There's already a vacuum gauge on the intake manifold, so we can adjust the fuel, make it happener a little bit, and see how these filters do. I got it sitting about an inch off the bottom where I felt the sediment, pulled it up. I don't have any sock on it though, but we can always stop later on and pick up a generic sock to like a electric fuel pump, and we can somehow rig that onto the end of the line. But this will work for now, so let's see if it fires up again. Here we go. Kick the high idle off. Might quit. Oil pressure's great. like 60. Charging. I have no more idle adjustment. This is weird. Have to climb in here. Ugh. Ooh, getting hot in here. That choke. I gotta get some fresh air. Well, the old thing sounds pretty good. I desperately want to just jump in and throw it in gear and test the clutch out, the hydraulic part. The physical clutch itself looks pretty good actually, but I can't. We just got a CV shaft laying over here. Got to get the suspension and everything put back together. But it's running, it's idling. I don't have a temp gauge. I got to look at that, where that plugged in at. But it's got great oil pressure. Sounds good. I got to get this choke wired up. But it is coming along. It is alive. 33 years. Well, now only one fan's running. I don't know if that's by design or if one failed. I don't know if there's a high-low switch. And got her idled down and put a jug of water in here. Circulating. Sounds pretty good. Still burning off some of that ATF. I think I figured something out here. If I come in here and I flip the fan switch, then that fan's on. It's like an override. Also, I turn that knob to coldest and turn the fan on. The AC compressor kicked on. That fan kicked on. And I'm gonna go on a limb and say that's pretty cool. Not cold cold, but cool. Well, it runs, and it runs pretty good. It's staying cool. It sounds great. It's got awesome oil pressure. All fantastic news. It is very late. That's the end of day 2, and unfortunately, the end of part 1 of the 1971 Tomaso Pantera. Look, I'm sorry, but a guy is obviously bitten off quite a bit this time, but I am bound and determined to put this thing back on the street and attempt to drive over the border and 1,000 miles back home to southern Tennessee. Coming up next week, we've got a homemade axle. We did some machining. We've got to put all of the control arms and suspension back and brakes and brake master cylinder. We got to go through the clutch. We got to get tires and wheels back on this thing, put it through the paces and see if this thing is even roadworthy enough to attempt it. And if we do, well, seems like it's going to be sketchy, but we'll make it fun. Thanks guys for watching so very much. And hey, we'll see you next Friday. Appreciate you. I got a mess. Maybe I should clean up some of this stuff. Cold snacks.